Hey bosses, want to be that well-rounded talent that's always in demand? I offer coaching in a variety of genres, including commercials that grab attention, medical narrations that educate, corporate scripts that inspire, and e-learning modules that engage. Find out more at anganguza.com.
As I was getting more and more into the voice acting industry, I started realizing that it'd probably be really good to start specializing in certain sectors. I started talking with Anne, and we realized that corporate might be really good for me, both in the way that I thought about things and in the aspect of the industries around me, what would be good for me to market with. So we decided to go with corporate. And it only took a handful of sessions with Anne for me to realize that I was looking at sentences differently because of the way that she was teaching me, the way that I had to think about my character in the middle of a paragraph or in the middle of even just the sentence itself. She really drove home the fact that you have to think about these things. There might not be a place given to you whenever you get the copy. There might not be a person there whenever you get the copy. However, that has to be there. There has to be some sort of connection in order for you to really understand that character in your corporate narration. Moving past that and into other sides of different industries, I started doing more video game work and realized that the way that she taught me about sentences, the way that she taught me about my character, and realizing that there is another person there, even if it's not in the copy, there is another person there. It was almost revolutionary. I absolutely love the way that I look at sentences now and the way that I go about my work. And she really changed all of that. I have to give her as much credit as I can. I know, it sounds weird saying that the fundamentals were revolutionary, but the way that she teaches it, the way that she makes you think about it, it was revolutionary to me. And it definitely has helped me a lot in my journey even now.
It's time to take your business to the next level, the boss level. These are the premier business owner strategies and successes being utilized by the industry's top talent today. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss. Now let's welcome your host, Anne Ganguza.
Hey everyone, welcome to the VO Boss Podcast and the Boss Superpower Series. I'm your host, Anne Ganguza, and I'm here with my lovely special guest co-host, Law Lapidus.
Hey, Anne.
Hi, Law. How are you?
Fabulous.
Yay.
How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you so much. Law, I've had a busy week with students, and I've made an observation that I might have mentioned to you before, but the observation to me is that lately, especially with the economy not being the best, I've had a lot of students who spend time talking to me about how they're very frustrated that they've not been able to move ahead.
Yes.
And that they know that they need coaching, or they know that they need more coaching, or they need a new demo, or they need a website, but yet they can't afford it. And so I wanted to maybe talk to the bosses about resources and how maybe we can wisely utilize resources in order to grow our businesses, because I just have been hearing it so much lately, Law.
Me too. I mean, when we work with students and have clients, it's a constant state of conversation. Yeah. And it really is true. It's a bad economy, and we understand inflation.
With the starving
and we
artist.
know what's going
on.
on.
Exactly.
Yes, we understand how much milk and eggs cost, like everyone does. We can't shove that under the rug. It's real. It affects everyone. There's an impact. We totally get that. But I'm of the belief system and the training and background that we have to make money.
Yeah.
So we have to make money before we make money, right? What I mean by that is we have to create it like an alchemist out of nothing. We have to make it happen so that we have those resources to go out and do what we need to do,
I like
right?
that, yeah. We need to have money so that we can invest money so that we can grow our business. And if we don't have that money, there's got to be ways that we can create that money, as you said, and I like to manifest it, right? Come from abundance, right? And not necessarily have my dark cloud over my head saying it's not possible, I can't do this. I really think that the mental state has a lot to do with it, as well as being resourceful. So I know that for some of my students, when they talk about what are they doing to invest in their business, and Law, what are the absolute essentials that people need in order to run a successful voiceover business in terms of money that they have to invest? What are the things that are the absolute essentials?
Right. I think we all can agree, those of us who are in the industry, that training, coaching, classwork is just a basic. It's just the most rudimentary that we have to have. And it's something that is a lifelong learning. It's not just 5 weeks, 6
Yeah.
weeks, one day. It really is a lifelong learning. And so we have to be careful how we invest in that because we know it's for the long run. It's not just a quick hit,
Right.
overnight success and go. It really is going to be throughout your career that you're going to need retraining. You're going to need to upscale your training. And so we have to be careful how we plan for that and
Right.
how we utilize our resources. But I would say training leading to your production work of your demos is baseline.
Well, yes, I am a coach and a demo producer. And so, of course, I'm going to agree with that. But I agree with that. I mean, honestly, not just because that's my livelihood, but honestly, bosses, your product is your voice, right? And you need to showcase that product to your potential clients. And so the best way to do that is to make your voice the very best that it can be. And I mean, how else do you do that outside of getting training and coaching and practice and classes and workshops and that sort of thing. And then you need to have the medium in which to showcase that range of talent and that range of acting skills that you have. And that is more often than not your demo. And it has to be able to be available for people to listen to, right? So it needs to get in front of people's eyes. It needs to be distributed so that you can then sell it as a product. And so the very essentials, I'm right there with you, are the training to get your voice to be the product that it needs to be competitive, right, in this industry, and to be competitive so that you can make money with that voice.
Yes.
And you need to have the demos so that you can showcase that. And a lot of people will say to me, well, do I really need the demos? I do auditions, right? So my answer to that is yes, you need to also audition and do the custom auditions that your potential clients want, but also you need to have that medium that sits in your online storefront or somewhere on a roster, like on a pay-to-play, on a roster, in all the places that it can sit while you're sleeping so that other people can listen to it and make their decisions and say, oh, I need that voice.
Yeah. Case in point, Anne, we had a big client come through about a week ago, and we did the call, and it was right on the script. The audition was right on the script. Sure enough, they came up with 2 of our people that they wanted to shortlist, and they said, we need to hear their demos.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if we came back as agents and said, I'm sorry, they don't have demos, can they just record something for you? Already, your credibility goes down the drain because they're thinking, of course you have demos. You've selected them for your agency roster. So they're sitting there ready to go. Right? Which they are with these particular people, they are. And we sent it. We expedited that right out. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a problem. And so the least amount of problem that you can cause, the least amount of friction that you can cause in terms of having the best practices ready to go, well, you have to pay for that. That's one of those resources you just have to pay for.
Yeah.
You have to have it.
Yeah, you have to have the training, you have to have the demo, and that showcases your product. Then once you have your product, right, you have to have a storefront, right, or a way to distribute that product. And there's lots of different mechanisms to do that. The first and foremost that I can see is if you're a business today, you have to have a website. And so investment into a website. So it means the hosting of the website, it means the creation of a website that deems you as a professional, right, so that it looks as if you are a professional voice actor and that's what you do for a living. And so I did not go to school for website creation, right? And even though I did try to do it myself, I mean, I managed a website a long time ago, but I'm not a graphic artist. So I do believe that you can invest some of your money into having somebody help you make a beautiful place to showcase your product. Because for me, it makes a difference. The packaging makes a difference. I don't know, human nature, right? I love pretty packaging. And a website that is done well and done professionally and is efficient so that you can sell that product is absolutely worth the investment. So that would be my next thing I would say that is so important is your online storefront. And so that includes somebody who's going to host it, and that's typically going to be like a monthly or a yearly cost. You have to buy that domain name too, which is yet another like yearly cost or monthly cost. And then you have to have somebody that designs that website and maybe maintains it or keeps it up to date. And if that's something that you can do, then that's fine. But I would say if it's not something that is your specialty, I say that there's another worthy investment.
And of course, it goes without saying, but we have to say it, and that's having some sort of home studio setup.
Oh, gosh, yes.
So for all of the new folks who are listening in right now, I know it's so obvious to us, but A lot of new people are coming into the industry and saying, how do I set that up?
Yeah.
What do I need
Yeah.
at home? How much money do I spend? Well, I'll tell you, you have to have the basics for your home studio setup, and that does include Source Connect. So now
Yeah.
when we sign a talent under a contract, they have to have Source Connect. It has to be available
Now,
to them.
I have so many people that say that they have Source Connect, but they're like, look, I'm going to wait until I get the job and then I'm going to get Source Connect.
Right.
Just having Source Connect myself, I mean, unless they've changed things considerably, it's not an easy thing to do within a short amount of time. I mean, I know that there needs to be ports opened up in your router in order to allow the stream and not be firewalled out. And so for me, the setup, I mean, required some time. And I would hesitate to say, wait until you get that job before you invest in it. I mean, I invested in the one-time fee, and there's also a monthly option, so that I'm at the ready whenever I'm needed. And so it sits there waiting for my client. And so I would say, don't skimp on that. And so, yeah, I can't believe that just eluded me. I'm just assuming everybody has that studio.
I know, right? And yet a lot of new people coming into the industry don't know yet. Yeah. They really don't know. And I would say, okay, if you want to wait, you wait. But I'm telling you this, it's a psychological decision you're making. Because what you're saying is, I could wait on an excellent mic. I could wait on a good computer. I could wait on almost everything. I could wait until I'm working. But which came first, the chicken or the egg? You have to have good stuff. You have to invest in yourself.
You have to have a good sound.
Before others are going to invest in you.
Yeah. And these days, you have to have great sound. I mean, you have to be able to. And you know, with our audition demolitions, when we are judging and giving feedback and criteria, the first thing that will make me throw out pretty much, unless if somebody's completely botched up the name of the file, because there is a specific way to name the file that most casting directors prefer. And so if you can't follow directions, that's number one. But number two is, if the first thing I hear is that you have a poor studio sound, I'm throwing that audition out the window, because that's something that I need, right, to be pristine.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I also would say you need to invest in some sort of SEO in terms of your marketing. I know that's the big buzzword now. Everyone marketing, direct marketing. Half the people don't know what that means or know what that is. And I say, listen, don't think of it as marketing. Think of it as building relationships. Like, you're connecting with people, you're connecting with prospects, you're connecting the dots so that you can work. That's really what you're trying to do. Well, that's expensive and time consuming after a while. Just think about this. How much do you pay for Wi-Fi? How much do you pay for your computer access? That's all stuff you pay for. Yeah. You can't do it without paying for those things, right? Those are your investments.
I'm going to piggyback on that and say, technologically, right? Pay for an internet connection that is stable and is stable and allows you to communicate efficiently with your clients and potential clients. So don't go cheap on your internet connection, because especially with Source Connect, you need it to be a good Ethernet connection to your router. And it has to be an Ethernet connection, by the way. So that's another thing I would say. Now your studio needs Source Connect. You're going to have to make an investment to make sure that you can get to that router using an Ethernet connection versus a Wi-Fi connection, because that is unstable. A lot of times Wi-Fi will cut in and cut out, and the last thing you want is to be doing the best take of your life ever while you're connected to another studio using Source Connect and just have the connection cut out. And that doesn't look good for you as a professional, and it doesn't look good for any of us.
And have business speed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Have your best
get
plan
fiber
that you can
if you can. I have gig
get
fiber.
Boosted. Yeah. Get boosted. Get a boost if you need a boost. Like, do whatever you need to do so that you're not making excuses all the time as to why you can't connect or why you're dropping out or why the transmission is bad, right? Sometimes you can't help it, but most of the time you can.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that have students that are in all stages of coming into this industry, and some of them aren't quite sure if it's going to work for them, right? So they're hesitant to spend the money. But if you come to someone in your initial steps of trying to get into this industry and you're training and you already don't have enough money to train properly, then that tells you something. That tells you that you need to get that money together in any way that you can, right, in order to advance and move forward. And so really, if you're coming into the industry for training and then you just want to get that demo right away, I think you need to change your mindset because it's not going to be, obviously, as we've said a billion times before, it's not that you can do this in a couple of sessions and then get a demo and go out and start making money. I mean, this is a process that if you look at things wisely and you use your resources wisely, you can steadily grow and move forward. And so that means that when you are starting and you are investing the money into training, and then you're finding out if this is something that I find joy from and I have passion about, continue to invest that money, but maybe not spend trillions of dollars right away on something that you need to continually invest in and then not have that money. I mean, I had a couple of part-time jobs that kept things flowing in the household while I was transitioning to full-time.
Listen, you and I are old school in the sense that we had more demands. We'd just get another job. We'd get another side hustle. We'd make it work. We'd go under the seat cushion and save our pennies. Like there was never an excuse in our backgrounds as to why we couldn't do something. I'm not suggesting you should get into major debt. Like I don't love debt. Don't get into debt. But there are times where you do need to acquire some debt in the investment of your career, like a lot of college people are going into college and spending $75,000 a year. Well, they're making an investment in their career.
Right. How interesting is that? Like you bring that up. I think things have probably changed in terms of, are people spending $75,000 a year to go to a school now for college education? I mean, things are changing. I mean, people do. But back in the day, it was a thing. It wasn't even thought about twice. You paid that money because it was expected that you paid that money for training, got the education, and then you went out and got that job. And that investment was going to pay off in a nice job. Now, things have changed a little bit, I would say, in terms of like, is it necessary to have that college degree? I mean, I think it's necessary to have education in some form. It doesn't necessarily have to be a college degree, but education in the career path that you plan on pursuing. And so if voice acting happens to be that one, then you're going to have some money to pursue it. It's not that quick money grab. We're going to make a lot of money and not invest a lot of money. So you have to step through, I think, carefully and wisely. And so maybe give up that Starbucks on a given day. That can really help you. I mean, a couple of pennies here and there can really help you to save up for the training that you need or that demo that you need.
I would agree. Yeah, I would look out for your expenses. Make sure you're budgeting so that you know exactly what you're spending monthly. Look at all the surplus stuff that you're getting that you really don't need. Whether it's a membership you don't need, whether it's a latte you don't need, whether it's taking excessive trips that you don't need to do, whether it's, I mean, I could go on. And I'm not a financial advisor. This is not professional advice. I'm just telling you from my experience how I come up with a lot of money at the drop of a hat by sacrificing.
Well, we can be frugal. We can be frugal,
of course.
right?
Yes, we could.
It's one of the reasons, okay, so now I'm going old school, but one of the reasons why when I was a child, my parents took us camping, right? They couldn't afford big, expensive trips. So we went camping. And so, we went to the parks where we could get in for like $5 a night and that kind of a thing. And so that's how we were able to live a comfortable life, I think, and really also have fun. So I think you mentioned the trips and gosh, I love taking trips, but there are times when I can't afford the trips that I want to take like every other day.
Yeah, I know. Here's another obvious one for you. A great computer. I need a great, relatively updated. It doesn't have to be spanking new. But I work with so many people, Annie, and I know you do, that say, my computer's like 10 years old. I don't know if it can hold the audio. I'm like, well, upgrade it. Go update it because it shouldn't be 10 or 15 years old.
That's a wise investment. Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, you're talking
it's
a tech girl
investment.
here. I'm like, at this point, actually, my computer at home needs to be upgraded. I just know that because now it's starting to do weird things. When your computer starts to do weird things, like it reboots on its own and it's like some unknown error.
Yeah, launching 12 programs without you being there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time when it becomes a necessary investment. And I just know that I'm reaching that time to get a new computer. And I know that I'm reevaluating my monthly subscriptions right now as well. Case in point here that my email service provider has now doubled their price to me. And this is the email service provider where I send out the boss blasts. And so now I have to go back and actually crunch the numbers and make sure, because I'm charging a certain amount for a boss blast and a certain amount for a monthly boss blast. And now that they've raised the price on my email service provider, I have to make sure that I'm still still generating a profit, at least enough to pay for it, right? And to reinvest for another year of it. So periodically, you've got to just take a look at those numbers to make sure that you are still okay with making a profit and moving forward in your business. Because you don't really want to, I mean, the first few years, though, of your business is probably going to be in the red. A lot of new businesses show in the red for the first few years, but you can't do that for too long. Otherwise, the IRS will be like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
There's something going on there, then we might get audited. And I actually have been audited twice already. Not because I was suspicious or it showed any suspicion, just because. I mean, it is our own business, and I've been in business long enough. You're going to get audited. And so,
Jinx.
You want to make sure that if you get audited, you're ready. You're ready for it. And that's your next investment is an accountant. Oh my gosh.
Accountant. I'm married to one. Everyone needs one. Right? I'm telling you. Accountant, someone who really can deal with your books, who really understands that you run a business, you're an entrepreneur, deals with your receipts in an appropriate way. What are your tax write-offs? Getting you money back at the end of the year. You need someone who's clever, creative, and wonderful and works cleanly and in an organized way. If you don't have someone, hire someone. And a lawyer and an attorney, someone who can go over contracts with you.
Yes,
because none of us are attorneys.
A lawyer is lovely. I just engaged my lawyer the other day. So yes, it's wonderful to have one that you can go to if you should need to.
And then, of course, another obvious one that I have to say, you need a smartphone. It's really important. And those of you who are actors, you have to have a smartphone because all your self-taping is going to be on your iPhone. But you really have to have it because oftentimes people would describe it, including myself, as your walking office. Like a lot of us don't have home phones any longer. We put all the investment into the cell phone, into the mobile. And we're on
working.
the road. Annie, are you not in a car day and night working from your car?
Well, I mean, hands-free, of course.
Well, you're in California, so of course hands-free. But the point is, I was in my car half the day today. I was working the whole time. I was working.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. You need to
because I don't have to be back at an office.
You need to be able to respond to your client inquiries, right? All the time.
Yes.
So that is important. And that is something, again, like that can be expensed, that smartphone. And
absolutely.
So those are the things. I mean, gosh, I can come up with a lot of things. And it's funny because a lot of people say, oh, well, I didn't realize that was involved. I mean, when you talk about marketing, right, that effort of marketing, I mean, half of the episodes in VO Boss, more than half, are about how to build your business. And marketing is such a huge part of building your business because I always say, that you can have the best voice in the world, but it doesn't do you any good if nobody knows about it. And so marketing is key. And then that includes marketing is like your time, right? Your time in finding leads and generating leads and nurturing relationships. And so that's something you have to invest in. And you may want to invest in some help in doing that. You may want to have a boss blast. I'm just going to say that.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth because I was going to say when you're at the tipping point, and you'll know when you're at the tipping point, meaning you just can't handle more than you're doing, you need to hire a VA. It's really important to get that one assistant in that can take the load off, that has expertise that maybe you don't have, that can really take on some of your projects and push the needle of your business forward.
Absolutely. And so what you need to do, get yourself a business mentor too. I mean, gosh, I just want to say that I do a once a month special. The once a month special with Tom Deere, the VO strategist, and he's wonderful.
I love Tom.
Yeah, he is amazing.
He's
so
great.
I highly recommend Tom in terms of helping you to like get your business together. Do you need to register your business? How do you do it? Do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? I mean, that can really be a wise investment. And again, maybe not that Starbucks, maybe not that. And of course, I say that because I've been buying clothes all the time, but maybe not that extra pair of shoes, or maybe not. It's one of those things. Where are the priorities? And I don't want to be like a mom. I'm not. But honestly, it becomes where I hear this so often and it's exhausting. I'm just going to say it's exhausting because I think to myself, gosh, I mean, when I first started, I had quit my full-time job and I was like, oh, I'm going to go into voiceover full-time. And so now what do? Right? You become resourceful, right? You have to become resourceful. You have to really do what it takes if you want to make a go of this and you want to be successful.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who have support people who will be like, hey, so what's going on? Are you making money? What's happening? And so, I mean, we've got enough of that as it is.
Yes.
We need to really question our
Yes.
own selves to make sure that we are making the wise choices that we can make in order to move forward.
I love that.
So,
I mean, we could go on and
Yeah.
on with this,
Yeah.
but I don't want to scare
Yeah.
everyone to think you need everything at
No.
once. You can layer,
no, you can layer it
as you go.
Yes, and it can be
right?
something that you wisely invest. You make a plan, and it happens little by little. I mean, gosh, our overnight success law. Mine took a long time.
I laugh.
Yeah.
My 30-year overnight success.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
It was a lot of blood, sweat, and work.
Tears.
A lot of work. And a lot of work doing
Work.
stuff that maybe I didn't want to do, right? That I was like, damn, I wish I could have taken that trip.
Yeah.
Or I really want that
Yeah.
pair of shoes.
Yeah.
But right now, right, I want to grow my business. And so what do I need
Yes.
to do?
Yes.
I've got a payment coming up, right, for my internet. Or I'm
Yes.
going to upgrade my internet. Or I need to upgrade my computer. Or I need to
Mm-hmm.
improve my studio sound, which the one thing I'll say about studio sound, I mean, once you get it set, it's a no-brainer. It kind of just stays. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
equipment doesn't really die.
It just fades away.
I've had my microphone for years. This studio here, it's not falling apart. That's for sure. So I've made the investment and I'm done. For the most part, I've got
For a
everything.
while.
Yeah,
For a
for a good
while.
long while. So that's
For a
okay.
while.
I got my backup, right? I got my backup mic. I
Yep.
got my backup computer. I have things in case things break. I've got the backups. And so
And you know what? Get
that took
help in
time.
determining.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
Get help in determining what you want versus what you need.
Yeah, I like that.
Like really
Yeah.
keep that journal in front
Want
of you because
and
what we
need. You have like wants.
Right.
and
We think
needs.
it's so strong when we want something,
Yeah.
we want to get it, but we don't oftentimes need it. We need what we need.
Yeah.
And really determining what do we need first, and then later we can reward ourselves when we're making extra money.
I think it's all sequencing.
It is. It's choreography.
And we did touch upon, and I'm going to say just because I know that training, we talked about that was like one of the first essentials, but sometimes there are professional students who train and train and train and train and train, and yet it's almost
Forever.
like they're scared to start. And so
Yes.
you got to be careful
Yeah.
with that too. And I would highly recommend that you go back and listen to that episode, bosses. We'll put a link in the show notes. But yeah, you got to start at some point. Putting
You
yourself
gotta
out there
start.
because you don't know what you don't know and you don't know what you're going to need until all of a sudden maybe you've got an issue and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I needed that. So let me invest in that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So-
And with that, don't go down rabbit holes. You don't need to go down. Don't go into major technical fixes. Don't go into major learning curves during your workday unless you have to. And don't overload on the training throughout your day that will procrastinate from what you need to get
Yes.
to. Make sure you get your work time in first.
Yep.
Then do your professional development and education time if possible.
Yep.
Because you don't want to take up a whole day or a whole weekend or whatever unless you
Unless
You
you
really
plan
need it
for it.
for
And
some-
unless you
you
plan
plan
for it.
for it,
Absolutely. I
right?
think you just need to plan
You
for
know?
it. So
yeah.
good conversation, Law. I know it's tough out there, bosses, but we have the faith that you can do it. I mean, if you become resourceful and you invest wisely, I really fully believe. If you've got the passion and the desire and you're resourceful, yeah, you can absolutely give it a
can make
valid
it
shot.
happen.
So thank you, Law.
My pleasure. It was a blast as always.
Yes, it was. I'm going to give a great big shout out to one of the things that I've invested in, and that's IPDTL. You too can invest wisely and be a boss. Find out more at IPDTL.com. You guys have an amazing week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
See you next week.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your host, Ann Ganguza. And take your business to the next level. Sign up for our mailing list at voboss.com and receive exclusive content, industry revolutionizing tips and strategies, and new ways to rock your business like a boss. Redistribution with permission, coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.
One, two, three, four, five, six. Go faster, girl.
All right, hold on. I'm just trying to. Didn't they start at 5, 6?
1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Ganguza.